Hi, this is Valerie Guillaume, and I want to make this video about the Toronto police because they are so disgusting in their corruption and their employment of using people who appears to be regular citizens but who are just criminals like themselves in trying to go after people who expose them, who try to tell the truth about what they're doing in this society, and basically trying to set those persons like me up. Um, I really want to go into a little bit of details about an experience that I recently have with this Toronto Police 11th Division, where you have my landlord who actually turned my power off, and the police is saying that we don't know what she did, what they did, and we have no evidence of that. They've looked around and they pretended. These people have turned my power off since the 16th, okay, since July 16th. I only have partial power in my home, and I find it unbelievable that the police, and I know that they did that on the instruction of the police because it's part of an ongoing modus operandi from the police and from these people that they employ to go after me in this manner, to try to create a situation where they can then reverse it and use it against me and say, I'm the one who created this problem and whatnot. So, what made me angry is that they've actually come here, witnessed a crime being committed, and left without actually following through their duty. If somebody cuts the power off, that's a mischief. That's disruption of services, Section 430. That's a mischief under the criminal code. The police should have charged them. The police should have said, you've committed a crime here. At least caution them and says, you know what you've done is illegal and you need to stop that. So they didn't do that. And that now makes me think that, okay, these people really were acting as agent provocators for the police, because I made an article about the police, and they didn't like that article. I also made an article about the city officials, Toronto city officials in building MLS, and I did a little bit of expose because those people are really corrupt. Toronto city officials, as far as those in municipal licensings, and they are quite different from those in other municipalities. They're really, really corrupt. They really don't go after illegal landlords. They really don't go after things like that. They just, just act corrupt in what they're doing, and hope that the public never gets to see it. But then when you get a hold of something like that and you report it in regards to what they're doing, then they sit up and then they get upset, and then they try to come after you and try to set you up and do things to make your life really miserable. So it seemed that the police seem to follow me from place to place, wherever I can't get rid of them. I mean, I really want to get rid of them and I can't get rid of them. They just make me their target. Okay. And someone said to me, well, maybe you should stop talking about them so much. Well, maybe they shouldn't give me so much reason to talk about them. And then I wouldn't have anything to report about them on my blog or, anywhere else that I speak about what they're doing. The injustices that they are involved in, and how they target a particular community, and, try to abuse people's human rights in certain ways. And that's what they're good for, and that's what they do on a regular basis. And I pay a price for talking about that publicly about them. But really what it is, it's actually police brutality. When you have to live in semi-darkness because the police is telling your agent provocators that we want you to do these things to aggravate this person and to try to set this person up, so then we can come in now and move in and charge them for this and that and this and that. And that's one thing. When you actually have the evidence that somebody did something that they shouldn't be doing or did the law, and you're going to pretend like you don't see it. And then, the thing about that bothers me is that their reaction to different situation and different people is different. And that's where the discrimination comes in. Okay, so you will have someone else in the same similar situation, and the police would react differently, would jump quick to lay charges, and oh, you can do that, and yeah, this is a crime and we have to arrest you for this. And then somebody else who's from a different group, and they would say, okay, well, we didn't see anything. And if they're going to have that attitude, you're going to think, okay, well, maybe you're behind it then. Okay, maybe these people are working for you, and maybe that's the reason why you've now gone blind and you can't see what they're doing, right? So in this particular instance, I'm dealing with 11 Division Police. Although I've dealt with 14 Division and 13 Division in the past, but 11 Division Police, I had actually did a video exposing a couple of their officers last year, and so I'm still dealing with those same people. I don't think they're happy when you expose what it is that they're doing, and when you single out a particular officer and expose them. So now I keep adding on to that. Now they keep giving me reason to expose more of their officers involved in this corruption and conspiracy against me. You know, people think that Canada is a democratic country. Canada is where you'll find human rights protection, or Canada is where, multicultural, and Canada is just a free state, and everything about that is false. It's a police state. It's undemocratic, and it's racist. It's not multicultural, it's racist. It zooms in and it targets a particular group, in this case mainly blacks, some other minorities, but they also focus on the weakest ones, okay, the ones that are most divided, which would be the black community in Canada, and just go after them and just do whatever it is they want. They have that same attitude towards me, which is that, okay, we can do this to this person and do almost anything and get away with it. Because in my case, you have international human rights organizations who are aware of my situation, and for some reason, the Canadian government has gotten them to be silent about it. You have the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights that I made a petition about Canada about 5 years ago. There's a silence about that. You have other human rights organizations that never touched the case, like Amnesty International and Transparency International and Human Rights Watch, all of those big names, and you have to wonder what exactly is going on here, So they do have a lot of influence inside and outside of the country as far as what they want to suppress and who they want to hold back as far as getting any kind of assistance and things like that. So, it's very, very difficult when you make a stand about corruption. You are going to face persecution from the government, from their police, and they're going to do it in ways that, it's coming from them, because they're going to be using all of these people, these criminals, because decent people, if police come to a decent person and say, we want you to do this and do that and do this about this person, these decent people, I don't think would actually get involved. So you have these criminal elements who are involved, and they will do anything, really. Whether it's even involve money, they will do anything for this cause. So that is the situation, and I'm thinking that, this is a situation that needs to be exposed further. Imagine calling the police about a situation. Like, I call the police and they take hours and hours and hours to show up. Shows that they're not interested. And then, when they want to set you up, they can have their agent provocators create a situation, and then they come right away and try to, and you have to have the evidence to defend yourself, or else you walk into their trap. So that is the situation where I have just experience where my landlord turned off my power, and then on top of that calling these son of a bitches, and they came, they left, and I still only have partial power. And they've never said to these people, you need to turn the power back on for this woman, you're breaking the law. And they're lying and saying, well, you don't know anything about this and blah blah blah. And I've been without power for days now, full power. And these are the kind of harassment people like, okay, people like me go through. And you have to say, I don't want to continue to be the victim in this case. Okay, something needs to be done about this situation. And one of the ways in which this can be done is to expose what they're doing. In this case, it's the police trying to set me up. In this case, it's the city officials who are being exposed through my articles about them, or local government officials who are doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, who are upset about it and say, who is this black woman who's talking about us on the internet, who is exposing us to the rest of the world? We don't like her, and I think we should try to do something to shut her up. So this is what's happening, and they're doing other things under the quiet. They're like blocking my business as far as the sales and things like that. When you're blacklisted, you're blacklisted, okay? But you have to persevere. You have to find ways to get around that. And when they see you're still living, walking, breathing, and you're not laying down by the roadside because you gave up on life, because they block you so much and they're trying to do all of these things to stop your progress, and you're like, no, I'm still going to persevere. I'm still going to go about what it is that I came on this earth to accomplish, that you're not going to stop me. And you can't stop my progress, so just get out of my way, or I'll run you over, basically. And so they will not stop trying. But they come up against a rock. There's a South African proverb which says, when you come up against a woman, you come up against a rock. But when you come up against a black woman, especially a black woman like me, you have come up against a rock. Okay. And let's see how much you can beat that rock down, right? So I don't like to talk about race in this way, okay? The strong black woman. But I am a strong black woman because I am going through a lot of persecution. And this is the way it's been for God knows how many years now, okay? There has to be more and more people coming out now. I really, really want to see more and more expose on Canadian officials, on Canadian public officials, on Canadian, whether at the local level or the provincial level, federal level, come out and expose what they know about these crooks who are occupying these possessions and who are really criminals. People like Mark Straga, people like Tracy Cook in municipal licensing standards, people like Carl Barron, people like Mario Angelosi in the building department, people like former city manager, Joe Panichetti, and these people are all crooks, and they hope that their actions are never exposed and that people don't talk about what it is that they discover that they're involved in, and things like that. So, and least of all, they want that coming from people that they view in their racist attitude as not even being qualified to do the things that people like I am doing right now. So all of these things behind it is racism. Like, how dare this person talk? And I'm like, how dare you? Who are you? You're a nobody, right? You're just hiding behind this badge as a person who claimed to be law-abiding citizen. You're a criminal. You're hiding behind the badge. How dare you point the finger at me, right? So you're no better off than I am. So just shut up and sit back and just take your medicine like everybody else. So that is my view on this, and I am really, really upset when I see corruption like this happening, coming from the Toronto police, coming from local city officials, and nobody is talking about it. It doesn't being discussed too much in the local media, and these things continue. So, people need to be getting out more and talking about the things that they need to be talking about. And if you see a crime being committed, for God's sake, go and charge these people. If you have the evidence that you need to have, and you don't need to worry about them coming after you, because if you do have evidence, if you are speaking the truth, you are protected under the law from being prosecuted. You can be prosecuted under Canadian law for telling the truth, right? So, and I will quote you the section of the law that says that Section 311 under the Criminal Code of Canada, you cannot be prosecuted for telling the truth. If you have the evidence to back up what you're saying, you don't need to worry about it. You just go and speak, because you're speaking on behalf of the public. You want to educate the public, you want to expose. A lot of time the court is very appreciative when you do expose these people, because it saves them half of the work of doing, especially when somebody has actually committed a crime and they want to identify who it is that's committed the crime. So you're actually saving the court a lot of job. And if you are trained in journalism, you know that certain things, what you can or cannot do and things like that. So but as far as talking about your situation and exposing the people who are involved, I have so many people come to me over the years and still come to me because I'm a blogger and I've been doing this blog for like 8 years now. And they're saying, I've been through this with the family court, I've been through this with the criminal courts, I've been through this with the city officials, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you need to take matters into your own hands and deal with it. It's not that I don't want people coming to me, but I also see them having their own ability to deal with their own situation. Because, I don't really get a lot of help from people. So, in a lot of sense, if I see somebody who is capable of doing the thing that I'm doing, I will just like, you can do the same thing that I'm doing. So, you don't have to rely on someone like me to be helping you in that case. You can pretty much help yourself. If you know that they're doing these things against you, there's nothing to stop you from talking about it. And it's your life, your experience, so you can share it if you want to. Right? So I really don't like to be put in that position, because I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not somebody who get a lot of protection for advocating on behalf of other people. So it's not that I don't want to help. I do have the kind of heart that helps people, and that's one of the reasons why they come to me. But at the same time, I have to educate people and say, well, you just don't have to break down. You can just try to be strong and fight back. You can fight back. And so this is one of the things that we do. Right? So there's a lot of things going on in the family courts. There's a lot of things going on in the criminal courts. There's a lot of things going on with the police. Things that make you aware that this is much more organized than it appears on the surface. Like these social organizations, from my own research and from my own experience, they are part of the bigger picture, the Illuminati, the New World Order, and they just appear on the surface. And sometimes you can't even blame the courts and the judges. They say, well, why don't you go to this organization, that organization that's set up to help you? And they either pretend they don't know or whatever it is, but they don't really help people who are in need. So you will have these people, these poor people, or these minority people who really needs the help, and they will go to these so-called organizations, and they don't really get the help that they're supposed to get, right? And then they turn to journalists and writers and bloggers and say, we want you to expose our story because we went here and there, and then we can't get the help. So please try to help me. So that's another things that need to be exposed. A lot of these social organizations, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a video. I'm going to make a list of all of these organizations that I'm aware of that are supposed to be helping people and that actually do not help them. Okay. Or they give them very, very little help that leave them even more frustrated in their situation, because then they have nowhere to turn, and they're not assertive enough to go and speak about their situation. So these people become despondent, and they just sink. They sink deeper into depression. And I can't tell you how much it breaks my heart to see so many people. There's so many people of color walking on the streets of Toronto, what you would call crazy. And I'm like, what happened to these people? How the system failed them? Like, what happened? Is this what they want to happen to me? Is this what they want to happen to my kids? Is this what they want, for us to end up in this way? And there is just, the numbers are just too many. Okay, there are too many of our youths, there are too many of our women and young people, older people, who are just walking on the streets of Canada, who have lost it. They've lost it totally. And when you lose it mentally, you also lose it legally, because you're not recognized under the law as having the ability to look after your affairs. So they've lost all that they have, actually, under this cruel, inhuman system that persists and exists in Canada. So you have to see the bigger picture, that there's something else going on that's driving these people into that situation, that's making them become useless in society, useless to themselves, useless to everybody else. So that's the society that we live in. That's Canadian society. And I know that there are crazy people and poor people in every society, in North America and all around the world, but there's a disproportion of African Canadians and Black who are walking the streets, youths who come up to you and ask you for change, and they have lost it. And I don't think it's based on drugs, and I don't think it's based on anything like that. I think somebody wants them to be that way, to destroy their minds and to destroy them from becoming resourceful human beings. And so that's one of the ways that they target our community, is to target our youths. And that's, that's just one of the things that happens in this society. I recently spoke with a woman who actually did some volunteer work for one of the police divisions. She was telling me, and her son is like up onto his neck in criminal charges. I'm like, this is a woman that works for the police, that volunteers for the police, a Black person. And I have to wonder to myself, I wonder if the police did something to her son. But that's another story. So I am going to end this video and pick it up where I leave off, and try to do some more expose on what's going on in regards to human rights abuse in Canada.